Hey guys, so this is the Galaxy S9 and it's the cheapest version with 64 gigs of storage, 4 gigs of RAM, and a 3000 mAh battery. And it's a little over $700. And this is the Elephone U. It comes with 128 gigs of storage, 6 gigs of RAM, a 3600 mAh battery, and it only costs about $415, which I'll admit still isn't cheap, but I'll get to that a little later. Okay, so I know we can't really compare the Elephone U to the Galaxy S9, but the point I'm trying to make is that you can get a gorgeous phone with some great specs for a fraction of the cost of flagship phones. So with the glass back, that by the way isn't just there for sex appeal, but to allow for wireless charging, a sweet shiny blue paint job, and a pretty rad matte blue metal frame, you can't deny it's a great looking phone. Now, one thing I did want to point out regarding the fit and finish though, I'm guessing the factory workers ran out of glue from sniffing too much, because mine seems to be suffering from material separation where the back glass panel is actually separated a bit, leaving a little gap. I haven't heard of anyone else having this issue, but I'm not too happy about that. But we're missing a few things, good and bad, like there's no unwanted Bixby button, but there's also no headphones port, no stereo speakers, and no water resistance. It'll hold 2 SIM cards or 1 card and a micro SD card. It's got a 6-inch display with an 18:9 aspect ratio and a 2160x1080 resolution, which is pretty good. And because it's an AMOLED display, you're gonna get pretty fantastic colors and great outdoor visibility. And the actual panel is curved instead of just having curved glass, so that's how we get this nice edge. Not as dramatic as Samsung's Infinity displays, but pretty close. Anyways, when watching content or listening to music, I found the mono speaker to be pretty tinny sounding when it comes to watching a video, like when someone's talking, but listening to music was hit or miss depending on the type of music. Bass heavy music sounded like garbage, but more instrumental music sounds okay, except for when the volume's louder than say 85%, then we get into some ear bleeding distortion. Why is my ear so itchy? Performance has been a bit of a mixed bag of dicks. It's running the MediaTek Helio P23, which can sort of be compared to the Snapdragon 625, although the 625 does edge out ahead and supported hardware. So launching apps, navigating around the settings, browsing the web, stuff like that's all good. It's just the scrolling through some online articles and apps that stutter a little more than much more expensive phones, but for the most part, it's pretty good. It's running Android 7.1.1 out of the box. Now, I've read that they've been planning an Android 8.0 update, but I mean, we'll see about that. It's pretty close to stock Android with a very light skin over top. I'm personally not a fan of the traditional Lucky Charms looking icons that we normally see with Chinese phones, but you can obviously change that pretty quickly. You can change around the layout of the on-screen buttons or even swap them out for gesture control for more screen real estate, and it's pretty easy to use too. Swipe up from the far left for your recents, swipe up in the middle to go home, and on the right to go back. I like it. Now, they've added a little something called DuraSpeed, and from what I understand, it's supposed to divert most of the system resources to the particular app you're using. So this would be good for gaming or let's say when scrolling through apps, except for as far as I can tell, it doesn't do a goddamn thing. There's also this edge display feature, kind of like on the S9, except this is super simplified with just some quick toggles that you can rearrange if you want. It's actually been pretty handy. I just wish I could customize some more with toggles that I choose. The fingerprint reader's just under the camera, which sucks, but it's there nevertheless, and it actually works really well. Although if you look closely at the actual sensor, it's a little askew. Now, for the most part, I'm fairly pleased with this device, but where it really disappoints me is with the cameras. So there's 2 13 megapixel cameras on the back. I wouldn't go as far as calling them satisfactory. I'd say they're more adequate, but at least you can launch the camera like the Galaxy S9 by double pressing the power button. Highlights get blown out left and right, dynamic range is garbage if it even exists, and the background blur is really bad even though there's 2 cameras. I noticed it does favor green and seems to oversaturate most other colors. I did manage to snap a few satisfactory pictures, but I noticed you just have to be really conscious of when, where, and how you take your pictures. Now there's 4 modes. Stereo is for that background blur, giving you an intensity slider for the aperture that goes all the way down to f0.8 as if they're pretending they've somehow blown past Samsung with a variable aperture phone. Night mode is what I'd use if you think the scene is even remotely under ideal lighting. For example, here's one under low light in normal mode, and here's one under low light in night mode. The front-facing 5 megapixel camera is pretty bad too. Highlights don't stand a chance unless you're really careful. Battery life, yep, it's pretty great. It'll last me a full day well into the next morning with moderate usage, like lots of time wasting social media media, YouTube and music streaming, plenty of online articles, and a ton of asking Google how to spell words. It'll quick charge in about an hour and a half, which is pretty sweet, and it supports wireless charging for that cherry on top. So yeah, when it comes to battery life and charging options, I'm pretty impressed. So here's the thing, for 415 bucks, I think it's actually a great bang for your buck, but for 400 bucks, you could probably find yourself a decent used Galaxy S8 or OnePlus 5T on eBay. So I don't know. What do you think? Is this the best Galaxy S9 Plus clone? Drop me a comment and let me know. But yeah, I think that about does it for this one. If you got a kick out of this video, show me some love with that like button. And if you're new to my stuff, don't forget to subscribe for new videos every week. But thanks, as always, for watching. And I'll talk to you all in the next one. Cheers!